So, you might have heard about this magical wizard game that's been making the rounds recently. It's gotten pretty popular in the last few months, despite the, controversy, and I've stayed quiet about it for a while, but I think that it's time I addressed the issue and spoke my mind. It's okay to like Arcane Odyssey. Real talk though, I am ashamed to admit that I've been sleeping on this game. Back when I was in middle school, I probably sunk hundreds of hours into Arcane adventures. I had so much fun exploring the world, fighting pirate ships, and getting into magic duels with other players. I was absolutely devastated when they stopped updating it, and I was planning on making some sort of love letter eulogy video to Arcane Adventures when something caught my eye a couple weeks ago. As it turns out, World of Magic has matured into Arcane Odyssey, a legitimate successor to the game I used to love so much. What is Arcane Odyssey about? Does it live up to the legend of its predecessor? Most importantly, should you play it? All this and more in today's installment of Skit Reviews. What's one thing that everybody loves? Pirates. Good pirates, bad pirates, kid pirates, rad pirates. Despite being such a small, relatively unimportant part of history, pirates have captured so much mainstream attention that everyone forgets they were horrible people. Now, what's another thing people love? Wizards.
Shadow Wizard Buddy Gang. We love casting spells.
Wizards, witches, warlocks, mages, call them whatever you want, people find them cool. An entire generation obsessed over Harry Potter, and they turned out, they grew up. Now take swashbuckling, scallywagging, booty-plundering pirates, and combine them with spell-casting, beard-growing, orb-pondering wizards, and you've got Arcane Odyssey. In this game, you play as a wizard prodigy who just escaped the clutches of a mysterious cult. As you sail around the Bronze Sea, making allies, defeating bosses, and upgrading your ship and equipment, you can begin to unravel the mystery behind the threat looming over the world and all its denizens. When you create a new character, you get to select the elemental power that you'll use for the rest of the game. I chose Light because that's what my old Arcane Adventures character used, and I chose it back then because it looked cool. I'm Kaiho maxing over here. You can really get a feel for how cool a magic is based on how many people use it. I see plenty of Ash and Magma wizards. Those evoke power and destruction, like, a volcano? I also see a lot of lightning users out there. It makes sense that a person with supernatural gifts would want to wield the weapon of the gods. Explosion? You're just a walking atom bomb. You know what I don't see when I'm playing? Sand wizards.
What if I could show you the future?
No. Stop it.
Who let Dale Gribble into the dev team? How about glass? Abracadabra, I'm now invisible to thermal optics. You know what my favorite element is? No, not fire, not water, earth, or wind, not even light or darkness. My favorite element has got to be wood. The reason you don't see any of these guys is because they're all in prison. If someone comes up to you and introduces themselves as a wood wizard, they're probably not allowed within 500 feet of an elementary school. Each magic has its own special benefits and status effects. For example, when I hit someone with a light attack, they get blinded. Then you can just keep stacking it on them. That's cool. They also have a big, confusing Pokemon type advance chart of how they interact with each other. But if you're worried about any of that, then there's already no hope for you. Just do what any normal person does and pick your starter magic based on what looks cool. Arcane Odyssey gives you a decent amount of control over your spells. You can change the duration of the spell, the shape of any projectiles, the size of the hitbox, and even the animation your character does when you cast it. Also, every magic shares the same basic move types. You've got a burst, an explosion, a leap, a beam, a snare, and an aura. These might have different effects on targets, but you generally cast them all the same way. As you level up, you earn skill points that you can put into 4 different stats: magic, power, vitality, and weapons. A high magic stat allows you to use more advanced spells, as well as customize the ones you already have. A high power stat does the same thing for fighting styles, just in case you'd rather punch people to death and rely on supernatural abilities. The weapon stat gives you more abilities to use with, you guessed it, weapons, and vitality gives you a bit more HP at the cost of damage. Don't put your points in vitality. Now, at the end of the main storyline, you're able to get your awakening, which is basically like unlocking your second mind in Arcane Adventures. The god Poseidon bestows a special ability on your character, and the awakening you get depends on what stat build you have. Mages, those who put an overwhelming majority of their points into magic, are gifted with a second magic with increased requirements. Berserkers, who did the same thing with power instead of magic, gain a secondary fighting style. Warrior builds get increased power and AoE for their weapon abilities. There are also mixed breed stat builds, where you split your points between two different categories. Knights get a similar buff to warriors, warlords can use fighting styles in their weapon skills, warlocks can have magic in their fighting styles, and conjurers like myself can imbue their magic into their weapons. Like I said, Kaiho maxing. There are also savants, but nobody cares about them. Sorry, assassin guy from The Accountant. You can't change your stat build or awakening, so it's better to have an idea of what you want to be before you start investing your points. Alright, we've talked too much about the magic side of things. Let's discuss my favorite pastime in Arcane Odyssey. Naval Combat! The Bronze Sea is full of NPC ships belonging to every faction under the sun. Pirates, traders, government patrols, and more are there for the taking. There's like a dozen kinds of ammunition you can use, and my favorite tactic for winning naval battles is as follows. Step 1. Sneak up on a pirate ship. They usually won't aggro on you unless you're right up next to them, and even then it takes a minute for them to become a threat. Step 2. Ram them from behind and do a ton of damage.
I sawed this boat in half!
Step 3. While they're still recovering from the ram, hit them with some chain shots so they're basically dead in the water. Step 4. Alternate steps 2 and 3 until they sink, or just pull back and use some heavy exploding shells. Just a warning to all you would-be buccaneers out there. Once you sink a ship, you still have to kill the crew. The cannon operators will be easy enough to take care of, but the captain and quartermaster will absolutely body you if you're not strong. I would hold off on attacking pirate catches and anything that's fortified until you're like level 80, because if you aggro them, the enemy captain will hunt you to the ends of the earth. Upon sinking a ship and defeating its crew, you get all kinds of goodies and rewards, including bronze sealed chests, which contain all the best loot and enable you to upgrade your ship. Alright, you already know what time it is. Evil Wizard Glaz is up here, ready to take us into the details. First up, things I like. Arcane Odyssey kept the casual looting from Arcane Adventures by leaving treasure chests and naturally spawning items all over the place. You can't walk 100 paces on any island without running into a cool rock or something that you can scoop up. The treasure charts are also a fun addition, and I try to follow them whenever I get the opportunity. They also retained a lot of the features and feel from the previous game, like the music, fonts, and other UI elements. This does have some downsides, but we'll get to those later. There are a lot of quality of life improvements that we take for granted nowadays, but need to be appreciated nonetheless. For one, you can interact with any compatible object or NPC by hitting E near them. This is a direct improvement over the point-and-click system, and I love to run through a bunch of loot and mash E to open it all at once. Another feature I adore is the fact that your hotbar saves between lives and sessions. I can't even begin to tell you how many games reset your hotbar every time you die or leave, so you gotta open up your backpack and rearrange it every 2 minutes. It gets annoying really quickly. Fortunately, Arcane Odyssey allows me to banish my fighting icon of the Shadow Realm, where I'll never have to see it again. The final little improvement I'll talk about here is the sprinting and climbing system. You don't lose stamina by sprinting anymore, and you can basically just vault up any wall that you'd otherwise have to jump over. This, combined with the Breath of the Wild-esque climbing, makes traversing the world super painless. It also helps mitigate the effects of terrain destruction due to magic, which is really only cool when you're the one doing the destroying. Every event in the server is connected through the Agora, a public newspaper that reports the good and bad accomplishments players have made. Being mentioned in the Agora can even boost your fame or notoriety. Also, it is beyond hilarious to see notorious criminals like Darkblade Kid Sniper being publicly executed by the government. They even kept some of the sea monsters from Arcane Adventures, like Wide Eyes and Poison Jaws. The boss fights are pretty good. Boss health scales with the amount of players in the room, and some of the battles can get really crazy. They can be difficult, but they've all got patterns that you can memorize and exploit. Now that we're feeling all warm and fuzzy, it's time to delve into the things that I didn't like. The chat is so obtrusive and annoying, it's unreal. No matter what you're doing, you're gonna have a giant wall of blue text covering the top fifth of your screen, and there's no way to hide it. The same goes for the player list. I don't need to see the names and affiliations of everyone in the server all the time. Please make it so that you can hide these, because as it stands, I despise them. There's this annoying bug that happens pretty frequently where a quest NPC will just refuse to spawn. You'll see the quest marker where the NPC should be standing, but that's it. Now you need to run in circles around the island for like 10 minutes before the NPC shows up. It only happens to NPCs involved in active quests, which makes it extra annoying because they're probably the reason you came to that location to begin with. The galleon system is stupid. First off, why do we keep changing the name of the currency? First it was lamina, then crowns, now galleons? It's gonna get extra confusing when they add galleon ships in the future. Secondly, there's no Nicholas Bank analog for you to store all your cash in. If you die while holding more than 1,000 galleons, you're SOL. I think that every major town should have a bank NPC so that you don't have to worry about losing your money all the time. Also, each item has an associated value stat, which one would assume is the amount of galleons you get for selling it. But no, it's just some weird base number that every other transaction uses a percentage of. The game generally lets you complete the story at your own pace, but there are some points where you'd better get comfortable where you're at. The final battle basically locks you in a building and doesn't let you leave until you beat the boss, and I went in totally unprepared. I ended up getting stuck without any food or ammo and lost 4,500 galleons over the course of the battles. At the end of the story, your character automatically equips a disguise whenever you're on the island of Ravenna. If this disguise is removed at any point, every soldier with a line of sight to you will immediately jump you. There isn't an option to take the disguise off, but if you equip or unequip any clothes or accessories, then it disappears for a split second, just long enough to aggro the guards. You might think you could avoid this problem by just not visiting Ravenna, but once you beat the story, it becomes your spawn point. In conclusion, Arcane Odyssey is a pretty sick game. As far as RPG-style Roblox games go, I'd rank it among the best, and it's still receiving active support and big updates. If you're into that kind of stuff, I'd highly recommend checking it out. If you want to relive the Arcane Adventures experience more accurately, Arcane Reborn is doing a great job of remastering the world I came to love years ago. Overall, I'd rate Arcane Odyssey a magical 8 out of 10. Special shout out to Aiden YouTuber 2017 for helping me learn this game. He also supported me back when I was working on the Vesteria collaboration, and that's pretty cool. Sorry about the slow upload schedule. I have a bunch of family stuff and school projects that take precedence over it. You can even see some of that on my B channel, which, hey, subscribe to the B channel if you haven't already. I'll link in the description. Thank you for watching though, I really do appreciate it. That's all I gotta say for now. Skit Gaming signing out. Goodbye.